Greetings and welcome to lecture series on thermodynamics. This is lecture number 7. Today we will see about first law of thermodynamics for open system. So for open system there is a terminology which is known as steady flow process. So we'll see meaning of this steady flow process. So let me draw an open system. Suppose this is a pipe. Suppose this is a pipe and this is entry point, point number 1, and this is exit point, point number 2. Now fluid is entering from this side and it is leaving from this side. So if you see, and suppose this fluid is hot, then in that case what will happen? Heat will transfer across the system boundary, and this pipe, inside this pipe, this is the system. So what do you mean by the term steady flow process? Steady flow process, a process during which the fluid properties can change from point to point within the control volume. So if you draw this, this will be, inside part will be control volume. Control volume is area which we have selected for study. So suppose this is control volume CV. So what is written over here? Process during which fluid properties can change from point to point. So suppose you take this point and you take this point. So fluid properties like pressure and temperature, it will change from this point to this point. But at any point, suppose this point, but at any point, they will remain constant. This is very important. They will remain constant with respect to
Sir,
time.
your voice is not audible, sir.
Is it audible now? Hello, is my voice audible? Hello, is my voice audible? So, what is meaning of this word steady in steady flow process? It means no change with time. So, we'll see once again a process during which the fluid properties can change from point to point. So, from this point to this point, property will change. But for this point, with respect to time, the property will remain same. This is known as steady flow process. So in open system, we are going to study steady flow process. Now, what do you mean by transient? Another word is there, opposite of steady, it is a transient. Transient means suppose you have just turned on a particular device, like refrigerator. Take an example of refrigerator. So if I'll draw that example over here, this is suppose a refrigerator. Initially when you just turn on the refrigerator, you won't get directly 15 degrees Celsius inside the refrigerator. It will take time because initially the temperature is suppose atmospheric like 27 or 30. So it will go on cooling and then finally you will get the constant steady temperature of 15. So once the transient phase is passed, then the temperature which you get, that is known as steady temperature, and that type of process we are considering in first law for open system. Okay, so all the transient part where the properties are changing na, with respect to time, that is over, and then with respect to time for a particular point the properties will remain same. That is known as steady flow process. Next, steady flow devices. Now we have to apply first law of thermodynamics for open system, and these open system devices which we are going to apply first law are known as steady flow devices. What are the examples of these devices? Turbines, compressors, nozzle, diffuser, heat exchanger. They operate for long period of time under the same condition once the transient startup period is completed. Just now we had seen for example of refrigerator, where after the transient startup period, the conditions remain same inside the device. So steady operation is established and they are classified as uh, steady flow devices. So we'll see these examples in real life. Okay, we'll see some images. So this is a compressor. What is the function of compressor? This is reciprocating compressor. What is the function of compressor? Compressor compresses the air. This type of compressor you will see uh, uh, near a place where puncture is repaired. Okay, for tires. So using this air compressor, air is compressed and this high pressure air from the compressor, it is put into the tube of the bike or car. So this is known as compressor. This is reciprocating compressor, and this bottom part, red color part, this is this a vessel where highly pressurized air is stored. And to visualize what is the pressure value, here you can see one pressure gauge is given. So this is a motor which is driving this reciprocating compressor, and the air is getting compressed and it is stored at higher pressure in this vessel, and from this port it will be exited and it will be used for the different application. So this is compressor. This is a steady flow device. Next example, this is a turbine. This is a steam turbine which is used in power plant to generate power. So steam enters this. This is a cut section. Okay, so upper part has been removed. This is inside portion. So steam enters from this side, and then the steam high pressure and temperature steam, they will rotate the turbine blades, and when this shaft rotates, you get power. That power is then converted into electricity. So this is also a steady flow device. Why? Because the steam is having some heat value, okay, Q. So it is entering the system, it is leaving the system, and it is doing some work done. So energy is crossing the boundary as well as steam is entering and exiting. So mass is also crossing. That is why this is open system. Next example of nozzle and diffuser. What is a nozzle? When you take subsonic case, for subsonic case, whenever area is reducing, that is known as nozzle. What is the function of nozzle? It increases the velocity. When the flow is supersonic for nozzle, uh, it will become reverse. Okay, so it is diverging portion, this is converging portion. Here you can see this portion is converging, and this is nozzle where velocity is increased for subsonic flow. But in case of supersonic flow, the nozzle diverges, and this function is also to increase the velocity. We'll see this afterwards. Next part is diffuser. Diffuser is opposite to nozzle. You can see for subsonic flow, for nozzle area is reducing, but for diffuser area is increasing. So what is the function of diffuser? It increases the static pressure at the expense of velocity. So where velocity is reduced but static pressure is increased, and in nozzle pressure is reduced but velocity is increased. And this opposite to this will be for supersonic. For supersonic it will be convergent, and here pressure will be increased and velocity will be reduced for supersonic case. Now we'll see the actual devices of nozzle and diffuser, how they look like. So this is a nozzle. Here you can see one area is being reduced. So nozzle increases the velocity. So this is the example of nozzle. Next, if you have seen ducts in refrigeration and air conditioning in malls, if you have seen ducts, so in the room there will be diffuser like this on the ceiling or on the walls, or it can be yes, it is either on the ceiling or they are mostly on the walls. So these are known as diffusers. What is the function of diffuser? It increases the static pressure, it reduces the velocity. So this is one of the application of diffuser. Next, steady flow device. So here it is written, right, steady flow device. We are looking at these devices. We have seen what is compressor, turbine, nozzle and diffuser. Now we'll see what is heat exchanger. So what is a heat exchanger? Heat exchanger is a device where there are two different fluids. Okay, so this is a shell side. So this is outer shell, and in between there are tubes. So there will be a fluid in this shell and there will be a fluid in tube, which are not actually in physical contact with each other. They are separated by the tube wall. And this shell fluid will be hot fluid. Suppose this is steam. So it will come in contact with the tube side fluid. Suppose that is water, and it will get condensed. Steam will get condensed into water, and the cold water, it will get converted into hot water and it will exit from here. So I'll repeat this part again. This is a shell and tube heat exchanger. What is the function of heat exchanger? To exchange the heat between two fluids. So suppose from this side steam is entering, which is hot, and it is steam, and at exit the steam will condense and it will cool down a bit. Okay, and this will be water. So steam is getting condensed into water, whereas from this side cold water is increasing, CW, cold water. It will flow inside these tubes and it will take heat from the steam, and from here hot water will exit the heat exchanger. So this is the example of heat exchanger. Next example, next process is throttling. So throttling process we will see in detail afterwards. So this is a device which is known as capillary tube. So this capillary tube you will find in refrigerator. What is the function of capillary tube? This capillary tube gives the refrigerating effect in your refrigerator. It gives the cooling effect. Whatever coldness you feel after using air conditioning, AC, or household refrigerator, that is because of this capillary tube. Okay, this is the device which helps us to get cooling effect. So how that is there now, we'll see in this thermodynamics part. Okay, so we have this part as well. And then this is also a throttling device which is known as thermostatic expansion valve. It is known as TEV, thermostatic expansion valve. Sometimes it is also known as TXV, thermostatic expansion valve. Okay, and the function of this valve is also same, throttling. Okay, so we have a process which is known as throttling. So these are the two devices. First device is capillary tube. So this is a capillary tube, and second device it is thermostatic expansion valve. So both are used for throttling process, and these two devices are also steady flow devices. Now we'll go through the derivations of open system. So we have seen what are the steady flow devices, like compressor, turbine, nozzle, diffuser, heat exchanger, and last one which we saw, which is not mentioned over here, is a throttling device. Okay, so we'll do a derivation related to this open system. What is the first law for open system? That equation we will derive now. So here one diagram is given. So here one short form is written, SFEE. This is known as steady flow energy equation. This steady flow energy equation, it is basically the first law of thermodynamics for open system. Okay, so SFEE means steady flow energy equation. This equation is the first law of thermodynamics for open system, and this equation we have to derive. Okay, so I'll show you, explain you this diagram. So this is a steady flow device. This is the entry of point 1. This is the entry to the control volume. So here you can see dotted lines. This indicates that it is control volume, and this device is SFD, means steady flow device. Point 1 is the point from where the fluid is entering inside. Okay, so I'll draw an arrow over here. So from here fluid is entering, and then fluid is entering, traveling through this device, and fluid is exiting from this side. Now you can see heat is added to this device from outside. So whenever heat is added to the system, it is positive. So this heat is positive. Second thing, here you can see outside of this rectangle there is one shaft shown. This is a shaft. because of supply of this heat, this shaft will rotate. We will get some work. So that is known as W dot shaft. And whenever we get work is done by the system, that is positive. So this work done is positive and heat supplied is also positive. This is our sign convention. Now, so this is a reference plane. From this plane, suppose point 1 entry is at a height of Z1. This is datum. Okay, this part is datum. So from datum, this point 1 entry, this height will be Z1, and for point 2 this height will be Z2. So these are elevations. Why are this required? So that we can calculate what is the potential energy. Okay, now we'll define some terminology. V bar 1, this is known as velocity. So V bar 1 is velocity of point 1, P1 is pressure at point 1, H1 is enthalpy at point 1, and small v1 is specific volume at point 1. What is unit of this specific volume? Meter cube per kg. Volume unit is what? Meter cube. What will be unit of specific volume? Meter cube per kg. Okay. Now, similarly, at point 2, we will have pressure 2, specific volume 2, V bar 2 means velocity 2 and enthalpy 2. And here we have elevation Z2. This is required for potential energy. Now we'll see the next part. So remember this, that heat supplied in this derivation is positive and work which we get, that is also positive. Okay, this part is very important in the derivation. So I'll clear this now. Now I have written first law of thermodynamics. Energy entering in the system is equal to energy leaving the system. So from here energy is entering point 1, and from this side energy is leaving. So what is entering the system? What is entering the system? Heat is entering, right? And whenever heat is entering, it is positive. That is why here we have taken plus Q. So plus Q, heat is entering, or you can take it on the left hand side. See, already we are taking entering portion on left hand side. So all the energies entering will be by default positive, and whatever energy leaving we are writing on left hand side, sorry, right hand side. Okay, so no need to get confused about sign convention over here. No need to pay attention much in this step for sign convention. Now energy entering is Q1 plus potential energy is entering. Why? Because of this height, potential energy is there. Kinetic energy is will be there because we have velocity v bar 1. So kinetic energy at point 1. Now remember here notations. These are Q dot potential energy dot. So whenever there is a dot, Q dot means it will be kilojoule per second. Or whenever there is potential energy dot, that unit will be kilojoule per second. When there will be only capital Q, unit will be kilojoule. This we have already discussed. And when there will be small q, what will be unit? Kilojoule per kg. Mention this somewhere. Kilojoule per kg. Okay, I'll clear this part now. So same thing I have written here. So potential energy plus kinetic energy because of this velocity at entering side, internal energy because of U1 and temperature, and flow work. Flow work will be P into V dot is equal to what is the energy which is leaving the control volume? Work, W dot plus potential energy plus kinetic energy plus internal energy plus flow work. Now we'll take work on left hand side. So Q dot minus W dot. Even though this is very important point, even though here you see negative sign, work is positive. Why? Because work is done by the system. Don't get confused. Even though here you see negative sign, this work is positive. Why? You have to take the work positive. Why? Here negative sign will remain, but you have to take work as positive. Next, we'll see next part on right hand side. Now, what is the formula for potential energy? It is mgh, right? So m, since it is potential energy dot, it will be m dot gh. That is why we are taking m dot common, and inside we are writing all the small terminologies. Okay, so this will be, what we'll do is we'll take all the potential energy from one, kinetic energy one, internal energy one, and flow work one towards right hand side. So what you will get is potential energy 2 minus potential energy 1. That will become change in potential energy. That is why I have written here delta P. This is change in potential energy. Why? Because we have taken this PE dot towards right hand side. Similarly, we will get change in kinetic energy plus change in internal energy. IE is denoted by U. So change in internal energy plus change in flow work. Now here it is capital and here it is small. Why? Because we have taken m dot common. Now we'll see the units. What units we have to follow. Okay. So before that, this is the formula. Now what will be the formula for potential energy? So what you have studied in elementary classes, what is potential energy? Potential energy is equal to mgh. What is unit of this? Joules. Why? Because this is energy. Now potential energy, if I multiply it by if this mass is mass flow rate, like m dot gh, m dot gh, then it will become, what will be this? This will unit will become joule per second. Unit will become joule per second. Why? Because this is mass flow rate. So this is in kg, but this is kg per second. So finally potential energy unit will be joule per second. But if you divide this by 1000, m dot gh divided by 1000, this will give unit of kilojoule per second. That is what we have done over here. See this, m dot is taken common. This is outside, so this m dot is taken common outside. And gh, h notation is z according to s. So gz upon 1000. See this, gz upon 1000. This is taken. So unit of this change in potential energy, this unit will be kilojoule per second. Sorry, it is only this part, right? See, it is only this part, gh upon 1000. So this unit will be kilojoule per kg only. This unit is kilojoule per kg. Okay, but when you multiply this kilojoule by kilojoule per kg, multiply by this mass flow rate. See this, outside the bracket we have unit kg per second. Inside the bracket for all the terms, change in kinetic energy, change in potential energy, change in enthalpy, change in flow work, everything unit is kilojoule per kg. So what will happen? Unit will get multiplied, kg and kg will get cancelled, and finally you will get unit as kilojoule per second. And this is same as unit on left hand side, kilojoule per second for heat transfer rate, and work transfer also unit is kilojoule per second. So that is why basically what you have to remember is why this why this equation is divided by 1000 to convert joule into kilojoule. Then this is gz, and this m dot represents per second. Okay, so I hope this is clear, all the units are clear. Similarly, if you see kinetic energy, what is the formula of kinetic energy which you have studied in elementary classes? Kinetic energy is equal to half mv square, half m v bar, we will use v bar square. Velocity is represented by v1. Now unit of this will be joule. Now what will be k e dot? So will instead of m we will take m dot. So this will become m dot v bar square upon 2. Now the unit will become joule per second, but we require what? Kilojoule. That is why to convert joule into kilojoule, divide by 1000. So this 2 will become 2000. So this will, we will have 2000, and instead of joule we can write kilojoule. So same formula is written over here. See this, m dot it's outside. So m dot we have taken outside, and remaining part v bar square upon 2000. This part is over here. V bar square upon 2000 is over here. So this unit will be kilojoule per kg. What is unit of m dot? Kg per second. So if you multiply by m dot, kg per second, kg per second. Again kg will get cancelled, and finally you will get kilojoule per second, same as left hand side. Okay, so I'll erase this part again. So in this way you will get change in kinetic energy formula. So basically all these formulas, change in kinetic energy plus change and change in potential energy, unit will be kilojoule per kg. Now what is formula of enthalpy? Specific enthalpy U. Specific enthalpy U is internal energy U, specific enthalpy H is specific internal energy U plus specific flow work small w F. So same thing, this is delta U plus delta WF. So we can replace it by delta H. Now, when to use which formula? Whether you have to use delta U in this formula or delta WF, or you have to combine this and write together as delta H. It will depend on given data. If when you are solving numerical, if delta U value is given, then you have to use the equation where delta U is there and delta WF is there. If in question directly it is given that delta H is there, then don't write delta U and plus delta WF separately. You will write replace this by delta H. Okay, it will depend on given data. Now, what is the formula of flow work? It is pressure into specific volume. Why? Because this is small w. If this would have been capital W, then pressure into capital volume would have been there. So for small flow work, it is pressure into specific volume minus, this is since this is change, minus P1 into specific volume of 0.1. Similarly, if you want to calculate delta H, which is addition of delta U plus delta WF, then what is the formula? This formula we have already seen in closed system. Delta H is m dot Cp. If it is H dot, then it will be m dot Cp delta T. But this is small h, so it is per unit mass. So mass has been removed. So Cp into delta T. Okay. So first equation, this equation, where you can see m dot is multiplied, this equation is known as steady flow energy equation, SFEE, on time basis. This is formula number 1. Next, what we will do is we will remove this mass. So what we will get? We will get small q. We will divide this whole equation throughout by m dot. What we will get? Small q minus small w shaft work equal to this equation is right hand side is getting divided by m dot. So this will get cancelled and only bracket part will remain. Change in potential energy plus change in kinetic energy plus change in internal energy plus change in flow work, and this is replaced by delta H. Now such a equation where m dot is not there, that is known as steady flow energy equation on mass basis. So we have two steady flow energy equation. Which one to use? That will depend on given data. If m dot is given, then in that case you can use steady flow energy equation on time basis. But if m dot is not known, then you have to use steady flow energy equation on mass basis. Okay. Next, we'll go through the assumptions. What are the assumptions which are made for this derivation? Okay, actually that part should have been taken before the derivation. So we'll go through the assumption part. What are the assumptions? These assumptions are very important. There is a theory question on this. Write down assumptions used while deriving steady flow energy equation. So what is first assumption? Mass flow rate remains constant within the system. So if you see this equation, see this m dot, this m dot value is not changing. It will be given only once. So for inlet within the control volume and at exit, everywhere this m dot value will remain same. So mass flow rate is same. This is assumption number 1. So same thing is given, mass flow rate remains constant within the control volume. This is assumption number 1. Next assumption, since this the process is steady flow, that is why properties at any location within the control volume are steady with respect to time. So for a particular point, I'll explain this part again. So if this is a system, at a particular point with respect to time, properties remain same. But if you change the point itself, then properties will change. This is also an assumption. Same thing is written over here. So same thing is written over here. Properties at any location. So at a particular location within the control volume are steady with time. This is the assumption. Assumption number 2. Third assumption, the rate at which heat and work and heat transfer across the control surface. CS means control surface. So boundary of control volume is known as control surface, does not vary with time. So again, if you see this equation, if you see this equation, in this equation, heat supplied to the system and whatever work we get, this will remain constant. Okay, so you can't say that in between you are increasing the heat which you are supplying to the control volume and then you are getting more work. It's not like that. The heat which you are supplying, it will remain constant, and whatever work you are getting, that will remain constant. In that case only you can use this steady flow energy equation. If you are increasing the heat, you will get more work, but then it will not be steady flow energy equation. Okay, it will go into some different case. So this is one more assumption. Next, the only interaction between system and surrounding are heat and work. So no other energy form of energy is there. What is the assumption? Only heat is entering the control volume and only work is either heat is entering or exiting, and only work is either exiting or entering. These are the only two energies. No other energy is in the control volume. Okay, so this is the next assumption. Last assumption, there is no accumulation of mass and energy within control volume. What is meaning of this is, suppose mass is entering from this side and mass is leaving from this side. Mass flow rate will remain same. This will be m dot and this will be m dot. When is this possible? When there is no mass being accumulated. Suppose air is entering here, okay, 10 kg per second. 10 kg per second. What do you mean by accumulation? Here suppose 1 kg is being accumulated. So here the outflow rate, it will become 9 kg per second. So this is not the case. What is the case? There is no accumulation of fluid. So that is why entering mass flow rate and exiting mass flow rate, that will be same. These are the assumptions which you have to follow when you use steady flow energy equation, SFE. So these are the 5 assumptions, very important assumption. When what is the validity of this steady flow energy equation, which is on time basis, and steady flow energy equation on mass basis. These are the two important equations, and these are the assumptions when you can use the equations. Now one by one we have to apply steady flow energy equation to steady flow devices. So what are the steady flow devices? These which we have seen: turbine, compressor, nozzle, diffuser, heat exchanger, and throttling device. So we'll see the analysis of that point by point. Each device we will take and do the steady flow, you apply the steady flow energy equation and get the results. So before that, we will go through the formula list. Let me explain the formula list. This PDF file, I will be sending it to you of formula list. So what is this formula list? Let me explain that. So this is a control volume. This is a control volume, and heat is entering, work is exiting, and this is a datum part. Sorry, this is a datum part. This is point 1, point 2. Same diagram as we have drawn previously. So what is the steady flow energy equation on time basis? This is formula list, open system formula. So first will be q dot minus w dot equal to m dot, change in kinetic energy, change in potential energy, change in internal energy, addition of this plus change in flow work. This is for time basis. And what is this individual formula change in kinetic energy? It is given over here along with unit. Now this kilojoule per kg, this unit is common for all these four things. Okay, only one unit is written here. So for individual, all the formulas are given over here. Okay, you can go through them afterwards. And next, in this formula, what you have to remember is what is the sign convention which you have to remember. This q is positive. And why positive? Because while deriving we have assumed that this q is entering, right? So this q is positive. If in numerical it is mentioned that heat is being rejected from the control volume at minus 15 15 kilojoule per kg, then in that case you have to take that 15 kilojoule value in this equation as negative. So this will be minus 15. Even though in question it is given as plus 15, but they are using a word heat is rejected. In that case you will use minus 15 over here. Similarly, work transfer, this work is done by the control volume. So it is positive. So this work is positive. But in question, if it is said that work is done 15 kilojoule per second of work is done on the control volume. In that case, you have to take over here minus 15. So there will be two negative signs. Minus over here, previous this original negative sign, and since work is done on the system, again we are taking negative sign. So minus minus will become plus. So this sign convention is very important. Otherwise, your answer will be wrong. Okay, sign will be wrong. Answer for your sign of your answer will be wrong. Okay, so make sure you properly remember the sign convention. So same thing is written. So for equation 1 means this equation. Also for equation 3, the default condition is heat is entering and shaft work is leaving the control volume, and both are positive. This is very important note which you have to remember. This formula list file I will be sharing. Second formula, steady flow energy equation on mass basis. So we'll divide by m dot and you will get everything will be small. This formula is also we have discussed. Next equation, this derivation we don't have. Directly we have to remember the equation. What is the equation? M dot is equal to area. M dot is constant. This is known as continuity equation for steady flow process. And what is m dot? M dot is mass flow rate. Now what is formula of this? Area into velocity upon specific volume. Now we'll see how this results in m dot to be kg per second. Okay, I'll derive that. So what is unit of area? Meter square. So in numerator you will have meter square. Meter square. What is unit of velocity? Meter per second. What is unit of specific volume? Meter cube per kg. So this will be meter cube per kg, means it will go to numerator per kg. So numerator. Now cancel out meter cube. So this meter cube and this meter cube will get cancelled, and finally you will get what is the unit? Kg per second. So this m dot unit is kg per second. This is how you get kg per second unit. This m dot, what is the formula? Area into velocity upon specific volume. Remember, this is specific volume, not volume. The unit will be kg per second. Now some more conditions are given over here. For this equation, steady flow equation, what is assumed? Point 1 is below point 2. If in numerical this is reversed, point 1 is above and point 2 is below, then conditions will change. Okay, so you have to remember this. The point 1 is below point 2. This is very important. Okay, same thing is written. So we'll have a numerical where there is a different thing. Point 2 is below and point 1 is above. And what we have to do in that case, we will see afterwards. Okay, so don't worry about that. We'll see this for what is this sentence written over here. Above formula means this formula. Formula number 3 or formula number 4. Okay, not this, fifth. So this above formula means 3 and 4 of steady flow energy equation is valid for one inlet and one outlet. You can see In this diagram, there is only one inlet and one outlet. If you have multiple inlet, like this is one inlet, at this height also you have one inlet. In that case, this steady flow equation is not valid. Then in that case, what you have to do, remember that also, okay? In that case, what you have to do, you have to go by basics. So you have to use this equation. Energy in is equal to energy out. So suppose here you have one more inlet. So in this equation, what you will do, delta P1, and suppose that inlet is P2. So you will add delta P2 here itself. And suppose this is zero point 0.3, so right side you will have, instead of delta P, instead of P dot PE dot 2, instead of that you will have PE dot 3. So if you have two inlets and one outlet, in that case this equation is not valid. You have to derive the equation again by using this concept energy in equal to energy out. And in that case, if you will have 1 point and 2 point at inlet and zero point 0.3 will be at outlet. So left hand side itself, uh, along with this you will add plus PE dot 2 plus KE dot 2 plus IE dot 2 plus W dot F 2, and right hand side instead of this you will have 3 point. Okay, same thing is written in the formula list. So the formula is valid for one inlet and outlet. If there are more than one inlet or outlet, use energy balance, energy in equal to energy out, get final equation. Is this clear? So this equation 3 of steady flow, this is on mass basis, and this is on time basis, and this steady flow energy equation on mass basis. This is valid only for one inlet and one outlet. Second thing, heat is positive and work is also positive for this equation. Third thing, Z1 is below Z2. That is why we are taking Z2 minus, that is why in that equation Z2 minus Z1 will be positive. If, see, when Z1 is below Z2, then what will happen? Z2 value will be more. So suppose this Z2 is 15 and Z1 is 5. So Z2 minus Z1 will become positive. It will be 10. But suppose Z2 is below, this is Z2. This is datum. Suppose this is datum and this is Z1. In that case, Z1 value is more. Suppose Z1 is 15 and Z2 is 5. So Z2 minus Z1 will become negative. Okay, remember this. So when you are having Z2 value more and Z1 value is less, in this equation, this Z2 minus Z1, if exit is above inlet, then in this equation this Z2 minus Z1, this will become positive. But if Z2 is below Z1, like this case, in that case this Z2 minus Z1 equation you will get negative value. So we'll see this example afterwards, what to do. So this is all about the formula list. Okay, same thing is written over here about the elevation part. Okay, now we'll quickly see all the derivations related to steady flow energy equation. So first device is nozzle and diffuser. So this is nozzle where cross-sectional area is reducing. What is function of a nozzle? It is a device that increases the velocity of a fluid at expense of pressure. So pressure reduces but velocity increases. That is why here it is written, this should be velocity V bar. Huh? Remember this is V bar. This is V bar 1. So V bar 2 is much greater than V bar 1. So this is nozzle, and heat transfer for nozzle we are assuming it to be 0. There is no work transfer in nozzle. And for diffusers the shape will be opposite. What is the function of diffuser? It increases the pressure by reducing the velocity. So here you can see velocity is being reduced. This is V bar, huh? Remember, don't get confused. This is V bar 1, this is V bar 2. So velocity is getting reduced. Don't leave the lecture unless I say so, okay? Because I have to take the attendance. So velocity is getting reduced. Don't leave the lecture. And so we'll apply steady flow energy equation now for using a mass basis. Okay, this mass basis form, this one. So Q minus W is potential energy plus kinetic energy plus change in enthalpy. So in this equation, since we have insulation over here, heat transfer is zero. So this Q we have cancelled. We don't get work from nozzle, so work is cancelled. Change in kinetic potential energy is zero because point 1 and point 2 they are at same height. Okay, so change in potential energy is zero. So what you will get? Change in kinetic energy is equal to minus change in enthalpy. What is this minus change in enthalpy? So it will be change in enthalpy is H2 minus H1, and because of this negative it will be H1 minus H2. And inside that H itself, what is H? U plus PV. What is H? U plus PV. So H depends on pressure as well. So that is why here it is written. So change in kinetic energy, so velocity increases at the expense of this enthalpy. Here it is negative, na? So in enthalpy we have pressure. So at the expense of enthalpy, and this will become H1 minus H2. So here you can see H1 minus H2 means it will become U1 plus P1 V1 minus U2 plus P2 V2. So you will get P1 minus P2, means there is pressure drop. Why? Because pressure 1 is more. So same thing is shown over here. Instead of delta Ke, the formula which we had seen in formula list, delta Ke formula. Okay, so this formula is substituted, delta Ke. This formula is substituted there, and delta H will be H2 minus H1, but because of this negative sign we will get H1 minus H2. Next device is turbine. What is turbine? As the fluid passes through the turbine, work is done against the blade. So we had seen the turbine blades which are attached to the shaft. So this is a turbine. In turbine we have expansion. That is why here you can see turbine area is increasing. And this turbine is insulated, means heat transfer is zero. This turbine will have a shaft from where we get shaft work. So when we get shaft work, this is from control volume. That is why this work will be positive. And here we have inlet and this is outlet. So again apply steady flow energy equation. Q minus W shaft is change in potential plus change in kinetic plus change in enthalpy. Since this we have insulation over here, heat transfer is zero. We have work, so this work will be there. Kinetic energy and potential energy, we are considering it to be zero, so we'll get delta H. Now what is the equation? Minus W shaft is delta H. So what you will get? Shaft work is minus delta H. Minus delta H. That is why here it is written shaft work. What is delta H? H2 minus H1. And here negative is there. That is why H1 minus H2 we are getting here. Okay. So here same thing is written. Turbine develops work at the expense of decrease in enthalpy. Here you can see there is decrease. So point 1 enthalpy is more, point 2 enthalpy reduces, and because of this enthalpy difference we are getting shaft work. This is the function of turbine. Next device is compressor. So compressor, turbine is power producing device. Here you can see we get power. Compressor is power consuming device. So compressor, in compressor here you can see volume is reducing. In turbine this volume is increasing. So for compressor we are supplying shaft work, and this is entry and this is exit. Okay, and we'll consider heat transfer to be zero. This is insulated. So again we'll apply steady flow energy equation. Q minus W is change in kinetic energy plus change in potential energy plus change in enthalpy. Now we'll assume that this is insulated. This is insulated. So what will happen? Q will get cancelled. We are supplying work. Remember this, we are supplying work, so we have to use minus shaft work. So there will be two negative signs and finally we will get positive shaft work. Okay, so here you can see this W shaft, it is positive. Why? Because we are supplying work to the control volume, and so that work will be negative, and initially here we have negative work. So negative and negative will become positive, and here we have W shaft as positive, equal to kinetic energy is getting cancelled, potential energy is getting cancelled. What you will get? Delta H. Okay. So shaft work will be delta H. So this equation you can see shaft work is delta H. So this delta H will be H2 minus H1. Now what is meaning of this? What is meaning of this with respect to this diagram? What is meaning of this is when in compressor, when you are supplying shaft work, enthalpy of the air or any other fluid increases. That is why here we have written H2 minus H1. We'll read the statement. We'll read the statement now. What is the statement using this equation? Shaft work is used to increase the enthalpy of flowing fluid. So because of this shaft work, you can see we are getting equation H2 minus H1, means H2 is greater. So enthalpy is increasing. So shaft work is used to increase enthalpy of fluid. This is known as compressor. Next device, boiler. So boiler is shown over here. This circle is a boiler. In boiler, lower part is water. So here a line is drawn. So this part is water, and above this point dots are shown. This will be steam. Now in steam power plant, boiler is used to convert water into steam, and then this boiler is connected where? To the turbine. Okay, so from here through the boiler we get steam, and this steam enters this turbine from point 1 over here, and we get work. So we get work at the expense of enthalpy. So steam is having higher enthalpy which is entering the turbine, and the enthalpy of the steam reduces and we get work. So this is how boiler and turbine is related. Okay, so we'll go back to the boiler. So this is water, this is steam. So water is entering the boiler, so this is mass transfer. So this is open system. We are supplying heat, so heat is being supplied. We don't have work in boiler and we get steam. So we'll write the steady flow energy equation Q minus W equal to change in potential plus change in kinetic plus change in enthalpy. Now since we are supplying heat, Q will be there. We don't get work from boiler, we get work from turbine. So when we are applying steady flow energy equation for boiler, we'll cancel this work. Potential energy and kinetic energy we assume to be 0. So what we get? Change in Q is equal to change in enthalpy. Now what is this change in enthalpy? It will be H2 minus H1. So again we can write a statement using this equation. Heat is added to the water so that you can get steam and increase the enthalpy of the steam. Okay, so heat added is used to increase the enthalpy. Okay, is this clear? Boiler. So this is boiler, and after in power plant, after boiler we have turbine. So this steam goes to the turbine and we get work. In this way boiler and turbine are connected. Okay, next device we will see, throttling. Throttling. So throttling, we will go through some PDF file for throttling. So that PDF file I will be sharing today. We'll go through throttling process. So what is throttling? Throttling, this experiment is known as, very important question, many times asked in university. Throttling, it is also known as Joule-Thomson porous plug experiment. It is also known as Joule-Thomson effect. It is also known as Joule-Kelvin effect. Okay, all the words meaning same answer. Throttling is a process. It is done by Joule-Thomson porous plug experiment. This effect is known as Joule-Thomson effect or Joule-Kelvin effect. So what is this? we'll see that part. So let me erase these lines. Okay, so this is a throttling device. What do you mean by throttling? Suppose this is a pipe. Inside a pipe, we attach a valve. So when you slightly turn off the valve, what will happen? There will be flow restriction to the fluid, and because of that, there is a process. This process is known as throttling process. Same can be done with the help of porous plug. Porous plug means it is a plug like this, and it will be having pores. So if a fluid is passed inside a porous plug, that is why it is known as porous plug experiment. That also gives throttling effect. And third device is capillary tube. We had seen image of the capillary tube. Okay, let me show you the image again. This is capillary tube. So same capillary tube is shown over here. Okay, capillary tube. It is made up of copper. So what do you mean by throttling? Some area is restricted, and that process is known as throttling. So what happens in the this experiment, you will see that. So this is a pipe, this outside portion, this is a pipe. Inside the pipe, outside the pipe, this hatch lines, these are insulations. Okay, so heat transfer is zero, and we are attaching thermometers over here and some pressure device. Okay, there will be a pressure device over here, and there will be a pressure device over here. So using this thermometer, we can measure temperature T1, and at this location we can measure temperature T2. So this is inlet, this is outlet. So this will be zero point 0.1, this will be 0.1, and this exit will be 0.2. Okay, so 0.1 and 0.2. So here there is a pressure gauge from where you can read pressure. Temperature you can measure using temperature thermometers, and similarly this C means velocity. So there will be a velocity at 0.1. Similarly P2 is pressure at 0.2, C is velocity at 0.2, and T2 is temperature at 0.2. Now what happens is, when this fluid enters from this 0.1 and it exits from point 2, there are three conditions which we get. Either the temperature will reduce, so here you can see T2 is less than T1. Second, temperature will remain same. So because of this throttling, either the temperature will remain same, and third part, temperature will increase. So T2 temperature will be greater than T1. So there are three possibilities. So when you do this throttling process, there are three possibilities. Either from point 1 to point 2, temperature will reduce. This temperature reduction is used in AC. Remember this temperature reduction application. Second part is, due after throttling, temperature remains same. So T2 will be equal to T1. And third part is, temperature T2 is greater than T1. So because of throttling, it can be possible that temperature increases as well. So refrigeration and air conditioning area lie in this part. T2 is less than T1. Everyone understood this? So how we get these three conditions, this we will see in next lecture. Okay, so in next lecture we will be going through open system numericals, and will cover the theory of this throttling process. How we will get at point 2, we will get reduced temperature, same temperature, and more temperature. This will be the first part, and after this we will solve numericals on open system. Okay, I will stop my session here.